Welcome back. Today I want to talk about what has happened with Palantir stock in the last year, specifically 1 year ago today, which was the peak, the all-time high for PLTR stock of $45. Now, $45 doesn't even show at the top of this chart because the stock closed at 39. Incredible volatility during Palantir's demo day period, which I believe demo day was on January 26th of 2021. We saw the stock fall back down, get back up, and then earnings were announced and released for Q1 of 2021, and the lockup period expired, and the stock really fell hard on the lockup expiry, shares getting dumped onto the market from the insiders when they were able to sell for the first time. So there's no doubt, looking back, hindsight is 2020, that some of this was indeed hype. But what I want to talk about today is Palantir really a meme stock? Is there nothing more to it than that, just from what has played out from a stock perspective? So we'll talk about just how the stock slid down on the coming out of the Q1 earnings report, insider selling, and less enthusiasm after demo day was over. And we also had the meme stocks falling down as well. I want to show you that correlation. I'm not saying Palantir is a meme stock, but I want to show you something that you likely haven't seen yet. Then we had some more consolidation. I'm sorry, the air conditioning just turned on behind me if you hear that. And then we had some growth stocks selling off. This was in the May or April area, and we had a real scare here towards into earnings actually, and the stock dropped all the way down to the mid 14s, but it opened on earnings day because they report before the market opens, and the stock bounced right back up. Kathy was buying, sent the stock a lot higher on that news. We dropped down, and this was the Q2 earnings report. We dropped down and consolidated along this line here. Oh, didn't mean to draw another line there. Anyway, we sort of ramped up, tried to break through this level here around $30. Really had a tough time getting past, and haven't touched $30 since back at the elevated levels here. Palantir was unable to break through the $30 level at all since in the second half of 2021. I think the stock was pretty fairly set up going into earnings. This was the last earnings report, Q3 for 2021. The stock was around $28 in the pre-market, and the conference call did not go so well. The earnings were pretty solid all the way around, but certain things were not up to an expectation where you could say a stock or a company in these sorts of market environments needs to beat heavily for the stock to increase substantially. So ultimately, the earnings and the call were not up to the market's expectations. So we saw a sell-off there. So company-specific sell-off here, an industry-specific sell-off here. November into December, growth stocks were selling off. Technology was getting hit. And then most recently, just the bottom has given out, and we have seen Palantir break down along with the rest of the market all the way down into the $12 level, which is really remarkable thinking about where the stock was back just 1 year ago today in the 40s, 45 at the peak, and even just at what it closed at was 39. And Palantir at $12 today. The question is, what happened? So I want to try and answer that, but let me just show you this. This is, if you can even recognize it, if you could even believe it, this is GameStop overlaid with Palantir. So if you know my thoughts on Palantir, it is nothing like a meme stock. Let me tell you about this correlation here. So there was a lot of excitement, and Palantir and this is my takeaway here, is that Palantir is as much of a meme stock as Tesla is a meme stock. And saying that is, a meme stock could really be any company, it could be any stock, but a meme stock is a stock that captures the interest of retail investors. So Tesla did that very early on in the last few years. I'd say perhaps Tesla is one good example of an early meme stock, if you want to call it that. Now, Palantir, I think, falls next to Tesla in the meme stock category because it's a real company doing great things with amazing partnerships, great work, an impressive revenue, not a failing company at all. So I want to be clear about that designation as Palantir being a second tier to a meme stock. But why a meme stock? Well, there's that stock part to it. If you look at the correlation here, Palantir is the lighter line in the darker blue. And just see how closely they've traded. It's really incredible to see. All the way from consolidating, coming back up, breaking down, and just falling straight through. And if you look at the percentage change on the year, GameStop in this year or so is down 70% and Palantir down 68%. So I know this is a bit of a poor comparison, and really I don't know what to make of it, but I never overlaid these two stocks before, and I think it's pretty interesting to see how they really overlay each other at some points. So what does this mean, though? What does this mean for the future? Well, I think if we just look at the maximum chart here for Palantir, that all of the retail investors that were hoping for big gains have been completely washed out. They were probably washed out beyond this point right here, if not earlier on, not seeing big gains. So I think some of the short-term pressures, at least from retail investors, are alleviated. Does that mean the institutional pressures, saying that there couldn't be more hedging against Palantir stock or institutions pulling out macro-wise, is that not possible? Of course it is. Of course it's possible. Palantir could be going lower. But now we set our eyes towards the earnings report, which is in a couple weeks. What is going to happen there? Will that substantially drive the stock? Now, I think it could make a big move, obviously, either way. I think a lot less expectations are currently into the stock, given how much it has fallen, down 73% from its peak. 73%. That means the stock is trading for 27% of what it was 1 year ago today. That is just mind-blowing. Well, the company's revenues and financials have gotten a lot better in the past year. And sure, there was a lot of hype about this company before demo day and into demo day. We didn't really know what a public demo was going to be about, showing off the Gotham products they had never really done before. Foundry, we weren't sure what the whole deal was there. So there was a lot of hype about it, sure. And the insider selling definitely put some pressure on the stock. But look at this whole year. It was range bound. The stock was holding up just fine. It was consolidating. The quarter-over-quarter growth was happening. But ultimately, whether it be retail investors getting out or just the market in general, the broader market sell-off, but prior to that was the disappointing earnings call from an investor point of view, really triggered this sell-off, if you will, where Palantir has wiped out any sort of consolidation that it had, any sort of strength that it once had in this $20 to $30 level. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on the stock. I know it is very difficult to witness as a shareholder. And it all just happened so fast. It's really only been since November, and the stock has gotten more than halved since that point. I can't think of a more violent sell-off. Anyways, I think macro has got Palantir and all the other stocks pretty much by the controlling factor, and we will see what happens in the next few weeks for Palantir. Hopefully they can actually put up a remarkable Q4 earnings report and turn this thing around, but it is definitely going to be tougher than it once was. The good news, of course, is that Palantir is trading at a much more reasonable valuation. So yeah, looking back on it, was Palantir overvalued up here at this peak and potentially over here? Yeah, sure. But in that same vein, is Palantir undervalued now? Well, that's up to your assumptions for the future, for the growth, and how you see macro conditions. Multiple compression has sure happened. If you'll even just look here, I'm loading hypercharts. We've seen Palantir compress down to 16 times revenue multiple when it was above 40 at one point. So really just following the stock way lower in that regard, and the revenue growth is at 35%, trailing 12-month revenue at $1.5 billion almost. And the company is back down to a $20 billion market cap. All right, I'll leave it there for now. Just wanted to share my thoughts on Palantir stock and the market heading into the next couple weeks. Until next time.